God's promises fulfilled in faith. The Bible is filled with promises that God has made to His people. These promises give us hope and assurance that God is faithful and that He will provide for our needs. This article will explore several verses that speak to God's promises and the faith required to see them fulfilled. The Bible is full of promises that God has made to His people. Some of these promises are general, while others are specific to certain individuals. However, they all share one thing in common: they require faith to see them fulfilled. Hebrews 6:12 reminds us that we are to imitate those who have inherited the promises of God through faith and patience. And in Hebrews 6:15, we see that Abraham received what was promised to him after waiting patiently. 2 Corinthians 1:20 tells us that all of God's promises are yes in Christ. This means that we can have confidence that God will fulfill His promises because of who Christ is and what He has done for us. Romans 8:32 is another verse that speaks to God's promises. We are reminded that God did not spare His own Son, but gave Him up for us all. This shows us that if God was willing to make such a sacrifice, He will also graciously give us all things. Jeremiah 29:11 is a well-known verse that speaks to God's plans for His people. We are reminded that God's plans for us are good and that He has a future full of hope for us. Finally, Matthew 11:28 is a comforting verse that speaks to God's promise to give rest to those who are weary and burdened. This is a promise that we can hold on to in the midst of life's difficulties. God's promises are true and trustworthy. They require faith and patience to see them fulfilled, but we can be confident that God will keep His word. As we imitate those who have gone before us in faith, we can hold on to the promises of God and trust that He will provide for our needs.